Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank my colleagues. Senator Grassley's, he's leaving the room right now, but I do want to point out he's been a great advocate for his state's corn growers, and he told me he was going to vote for the semiconductor bill if we could figure out a way to produce those semiconductors out of Iowa corn, all right? We haven't done that yet, but yes, sir. Sir, you just affirmed that you believe in science, which I think is really important. I know you have a strong background in that area, and for me, that's really important as I consider, whether or not to support your nomination and confirm you to this post. USMCA, as you indicated, opens up all kinds of possibilities for our ag tech, including gene editing. Mexico's made all sorts of approval delays, and they really lack a science-based approach. At least they don't fulfill the expectations of my ag producers and my constituents. And this, of course, hurts our own ag community, so I'm glad you're making that a top priority. I also get the sense by some of your comments that you believe in trade. And to me, that's pretty fundamental in light of the position that you've been nominated for. Trade benefits consumers, our ag producers, our rural communities, and really it furthers our national security as well. Do you agree with my last statement?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that national security and food security and trade are probably more closely aligned right now than they have been in my 30-year career, and maybe in an unprecedented manner.
I am highly refreshed to hear that. I've held some hearings on this topic in the past, something I'm very interested in because it is indeed so important. I would just publicly indicate that I've had some interactions, my office has interactions with USTR, and you're not responsible for this, so I'm not going to pull you into this, sir, but it's important to go on the record and say that there are staff members at USTR who work for Ambassador Tai who say that trade is not a national security issue. Nothing could be further from the truth. From my standpoint, you've just affirmed your belief, and I appreciate that, sir. Along those lines, I think it's also important to understand that the administration, at least so far, has indicated they're not going to be pursuing free trade agreements, that is market access, or looking to renew trade promotion authority that would give them the opportunity to negotiate new free trade agreements. That undermines our national security, in my view, and we need to change that policy. And at a time of high inflation, let me see, inflation reached 10.4% in June for food. We ought to be thinking about negotiating with our counterparties, other countries, about increasing access, our producers to their markets and vice versa. It can lower costs for consumers. It can help benefit our ag economy enormously. So you have the skill set, the requisite skill set, sir, I think, to assist, but it's going to require a higher level decision to pursue TPA and free trade agreements. Now I get into the questions. Despite U.S. ag exports to Korea reaching an all-time high in 2021, I agree with Ambassador Tai that there is still room to grow there. Do you share Ambassador Tai's commitment to improving the regulatory process for ag biotech in Korea, Mr. McCallum?
Yeah, absolutely, Senator Young. Unfortunately, biotech has been a barrier to market access in many countries, not just in Asia, but around the globe. And you referenced genome editing earlier in your opening there. This is a time to have that conversation because what is happening with genome editing and the way it's being utilized essentially mimics what could be done in breeding in a greenhouse. So the risks are commensurate with that, which, from a greenhouse perspective, we've been doing that. We've had experience with that for hundreds of years. So yes, we need to work hard to make sure there aren't unscientific barriers being put on our farmers' products that are being sent abroad.
Very good. That was my follow-up. Appreciate it. Recently, Director General of the World Trade Organization suggested the idea of holding a members' retreat this September. And the idea here would be to find ways to rejuvenate ag negotiations, which have been stalled for years. If confirmed, and should the U.S. be involved in the retreat, what do you believe are the main priorities for the United States with respect to the WTO's food security challenges?
Yes. So looking at WTO, I think even before we start to dig in on specific tweaks or changes, that getting the body to be more proactive, more responsive, and to act quicker and with actual results is really a key. I have tremendous respect for Ambassador Pagan, who's our WTO person there. I would want to work very closely, if confirmed, with her to advocate for the farmer. I think farmers look at WTO, and the ones I talked to, we used to have a tractor that had a throttle, and it had rabbit at the top, and it had turtle at the bottom. I think, farmers have very impatience for inaction. I think they look at WTO, we're not even quite at the turtle sometimes. So, there were some good outcomes from the recent meeting there. Ambassador Tai, Ambassador Pagan worked really hard to get some outcomes there, but we've got to invigorate that body to get faster results, to get outcomes on behalf of farmers, and that's something I'd like to work with the USTR team on.
That sounds like a really important priority. So I'll look forward to doing some good together should you be confirmed, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.